Hi new friends, my name is Kirk and I've just started this new channel called Ink and Impulse. And what better way to introduce myself than to show you how I swatch inks and a couple of other things. So I have a setup here that I also share with my jewelry making channel. So if you are interested in jewelry making, I'll put that down in the description below. But this channel is all about inks, fountain pens, writing, planning, journaling, all the types of things that we as pen lovers love. So what I'll do now is kind of show you the setup that I use for ink swatching when I get a new ink. So some of the supplies that I have are just a Pilot G2 fine point. This looks like to be a 0.5. And this just is a black gel pen. I have a Crayola black colored pencil here as well. I have a Maruman Mnemosyne notebook here, and that's an 80 GSM. And I have a River City Pen Company nib holder with a Kakimori Brass Nib. And this is actually the low luster finish. So if you'd like to see what that looks like if you were looking at River City Pen Company's nib holders, that's what it looks like. It's very soft. And I believe this is the Mikey. So look at some of that, the color variation there. It's very, very pretty. So to zoom you back out, I also have a rag that I don't mind getting some color on, and then I have a little thing of clean water here for our swatches. I also have this sheet of Avery 1/2-inch round labels, and I like to use these not only for the boxes that contain the ink, but also for any samples that I use. And so I'll go ahead and bring a little bit of samples up here so that you can see what I do with samples. So this is a sample holder that I have, and you guys have probably used these before. This is pretty popular in the ink world and everything, but this is one that I made for my friend who has been on vacation, so I'll be taking it in on Monday. It's a coworker, and so he will be able to see the colors that I've given him samples of. And so what I do with these labels, as you can see, I put them on top of these little ink holders, and so it makes it a lot easier to see. Now it doesn't give like super good properties from the ink, but at least you can see the tone, and that this has shimmer. This one is a shading or a sheening ink, and you really can't see any of the sheening unless you look like right there on the side, but you can see what the base tone is, and I feel like this helps me a lot when I'm looking at my samples. So this one is Dogbane Beetle Twinkle from Birmingham Pen Company. So we're not going to make a sample today, but we are going to be labeling the bottle. And so let me clear this up real quick. So this one right here, I know that a lot of you guys like discard your boxes, but I move around a lot, so I like to keep the boxes just for packing's sake. And so what I do is I actually take the label and put it on top of the box, just like that, before I even put ink on it. I do this because when I put the ink on it, the label is a bit unstable. It does get saturated with the ink, and moving it around is not that easy, so I just do this to kind of get around that. So I put that off to the side, and this ink that we have right here is our Birmingham Pen Company oil rag. So this is the Keystone formula, and it's a fountain pen ink. This is a 50 ml bottle, and this is what it looks like. It comes with a nice copper text on the front, and it is shiny. So I do take it out, and I have already swatched this in one of my other books, but I haven't gotten it ready for storage or presentation, meaning I don't have the ink dot ready yet. And so this one is one that I had my eye on for a very long time. Green leaning inks are definitely my favorite, and this is one of those. And from what you can see here, it is a dye ink here. And this also, like oil rag, the name just really does it justice here. So the way that I have my notebook kind of done is that I do it by color family. And so as you can see, the first color family that I do have are my greens. And as you can see, the lines that I put around kind of like where I want the ink swatches to be are using that Crayola pencil. And we have another page down here. So the whole first row on this one is taken up. So we will start over here. So I'm going to zoom you in just a little bit more. And so you can see kind of what I do. And so if you can look over here, each swatch takes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we take about 6 here. It's 5 up and 6 over if you're looking at the dot grid. So with this one, we're not looking for any shimmers or anything like that. We don't have to worry about it. I'm gonna take my dip pen, just dip it right into the ink here. Get the first drop off. And then we are just going to fill in 5 up and 6 over. And that color is beautiful. I go back in for a second dip to just kind of get a little bit more on the swatch, just in case there are sheening or shading properties. And then what I'll do here is just go ahead and write the name in. And from there, I will let it dry. So I've moved my notebook over to dry. Before I clean off my nib here, I'm going to try to add a swatch to the label. And I don't typically try to go to the very edge because I don't want to get it on the box, but that looks like a pretty good swatch and I'm okay with that. So this one is completely dry now, and as you can see, there's a lot of like beautiful shading in there, and you can see some of that shading through the text as well. Here's some of the other Birmingham pen company green inks. I think I have another on the first page as well. So Sugar Kelp, that's one of my favorite greens. Arugula, it's pretty close. It's a little bit more vibrant. Then we have Emerald Fusion, which has a lovely sheen. And then we have Interstellar Bronze, which leans very heavy into the yellow green category. And for this one, there's really not a dupe or a sister. This one is pretty close in the base color, but as you can see, that sheen does come out. And this one is very dark. So this is a very like work-friendly green that we can use when we're not looking to make too big of a stir, but still want a really pretty green ink. A couple of the other new ones I have here is the Sailor Japanese Tea Ceremony one. And this is the box. I haven't created the dot for this one yet, but this is what she looks like, and this is her swatch. And so I have a couple other inks here that I'd like to put in my notebook here, so let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so here are the swatches that we did, and this is what I would have considered the gray category, but as we have swatched some of these, they look a little more brown than gray, but we're gonna go through them anyway. So the Ferris wheel press, Dawning Silver, and I really put that on thick on this paper, and as you can see, there's a little bit of like a reddish brown haloing effect. As well as that silver shimmer, and then the base is like a shark gray. It's really, really pretty, and you can see some of that shimmer through the print here. And this is a thinner nib than I would ever write with. I am a broad girl through and through. I love my broads, I love my stubs, and so if you can still see the shimmer with a very fine nib, then you're doing pretty well. Then we have Diamine Tundra, and it's a nice shady brownish gray, and as you can see, there's some shading here and there's some haloing with a darker brownish, almost black. And then you have the Birmingham Pen Company Megalodon, which I thought would lean a lot more gray. There's definitely some brown properties in here, and I think that these two, as you can see, are so similar that I don't think that you need both. I would probably be picking one or the other, and depending on the writing swatch within a fountain pen, I would probably lean towards Tundra, just because it does have a lot of shading going on. I mean, they both do, but I guess it's worth a test. Maybe that will be one of our comparison videos. So I always keep the back of my swatch paper blank so that I can see the ghosting, the bleed through, and see if the feathering like carries on to the back side. And as you can see, it looks to be mostly ghosting, and I really laid these swatches on pretty thick. The text is pretty light, and I don't see very much, if any, bleed through, but you be the judge. I think there's just one slight little bit of bleed through here on the B and maybe a little bit on the I, but this is a very good performance in my opinion with this paper. All right, so you were with me when I did some of my purple swatches. I was way behind on swatching some of the purple inks that I had. And so let's just look at these up close. So the first one is Diamine, Diamine Lullaby. And this is a nice looking shader. Not a lot going on here other than the shading, but it's a nice purple tone. It leans red. Then we have Diamine Icy Lilac, and as you can see, there's a lot of sheen or shimmer in there. Then we have the LAMY Dark Lilac. This is the 2024 version, and on this paper, even in the print, you can see that there is a green sheen to that. When I write with this ink on like regular paper, we're talking like Erin Condren type paper, I don't see a lot or any of the green sheen, so seeing that come out really prevalent here on this paper is really, really cool. Then I have Birmingham Pen Company Onion Flower Twinkle. And if you look closely at these two, the Diamine Icy Lilac and the Onion Flower Twinkle, they are a little bit different. Onion Flower is a little bit more warmer on the base, but I don't believe that you would need both of these, so pick one or the other on that guy. The next one is Sailor Ink Studios. This is in 435, and you can see that there's a little of a green sheen or haloing effect there on that swatch. I will caution you, if you are a Hobonichi person, this ink will feather in your Hobonichi like crazy. So just letting you know on that one. This particular Sailor ink does a lot of feathering. The next one here is Birmingham Pen Company in Washed Lavender, and I really, really like how this dried down. It was a little more muted than the Diamine Lullaby up here. It's a little bit brighter. This one looks like it would work better in the work environment, so if you wanted to kind of test the waters and use a purple ink, I feel like this one would be a good one to start with. And then lastly, we have the Diamine Potpourri. And so this is like in between my pinks and purples. This definitely has a purplish tint, but also a pinkish tint, so it's kind of hard for some of these to figure out where they should go. But again, there's a little bit of a green haloing effect, like a hunter green haloing effect, and there's definitely some shading going on this one. So I'm definitely pretty excited to ink this one up in a pen to see how it actually writes in a broad or stub nib. So these are my purple swatches that I have for right now, so let me know which one is your favorite. And if there's a purple ink out there that you think like, oh my gosh, I'm totally missing out on, just let me know down in the comments below and maybe I'll pick up a sample. All right, so here's the back side of the swatches. This will be the Diamine Lullaby. This is the Diamine Icy Lilac. There's a little bit of bleed through here on that one. This is the LAMY Dark Lilac. No bleed through, just some ghosting. This is the Birmingham Pen Company Onion Flower Twinkle, and there's a little bit, just a slight bit of bleed through there, and a little bit on the swatch. And then this is the Sailor 435, and you can see a little bleed through here on the swatch. This is the Birmingham Pen Company Washed Lavender. There's a little bit of bleed through on the swatch, not so much on the actual print. And then lastly is the Diamine Potpourri, and there's just one area of bleed through, which I believe I went over a second time. So that's just on the A right there. So I've already told you that I am more of a green girl. Green is my favorite color, and I love having green ink. But I have a lot of inks already, even if they're just in sample form. So I thought I'd just flip through my swatch book before we end the video to show you like kind of what I'm working with. And if you see any like major holes in this collection, then just let me know and maybe I'll pick up a sample. Alright, so thank you for being with me while I swatch some of the inks that I have in my collection that I haven't put into my notebook yet. And I hope that you liked this video, and I'm so happy to meet you. So if you made it to the end here, please go down into the comments and welcome me to the fountain pen ink world. I hope to see you guys soon. I'm so excited to be starting this channel, and I hope to hear from you. I hope you're staying safe and well, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.